When you've spent a few months wrestling with a cheap laptop that promises gaming-grade performance, only to find it chokes on a single 3D render, the regret can feel almost personal. You start to wonder whether you're better off shelling out a bit more for something that actually respects the workload you throw at it. The MSI WS66 11UK tries to sit in that sweet spot between a consumer gaming rig and a full-blown desktop workstation, and the big question is whether it feels like a smarter buy or just another pricey gimmick. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've been looking at a lot of mobile workstations lately because the market is flooded with budget laptops that claim to handle CAD, video editing, and even occasional gaming. Most of those claim a high-end GPU but ship with consumer drivers that can cause crashes in professional software. The WS66, on the other hand, comes with an NVIDIA Quadro RTX A3000 and an Intel Core i9-11900H, both of which are explicitly supported by the major design and simulation apps. That alone makes it stand out, but the real test is how those specs translate into day-to-day productivity, not just benchmark numbers. Let's start with the core of any workstation, the CPU and GPU. The i9-11900H is an 8-core, 16-thread beast that pushes up to 4.9 GHz under boost. In practice, that means opening a heavy After Effects composition with multiple layers, scrubbing through a 4K timeline, and still feeling responsive. I ran a quick test on my own 3-minute video project with 3 4K clips, a few color grade nodes, and a couple of motion graphics elements. The render finished in just under 6 minutes, about half the time I'd see on a mid-range i7 laptop with a consumer RTX 3060. The Quadro RTX A3000, while not the most powerful GPU on the market, carries the professional driver stack that guarantees stability in software like SolidWorks, Revit, and Autodesk Maya. I loaded a complex assembly with over 2,000 components. The model rotated smoothly, and the viewport didn't flicker, something that can happen on a consumer GPU with the same workload. Now, you might ask, what about the display? The WS66 sports a 15.6-inch FHD touchscreen with a 60 Hz panel that covers about 72% of the NTSC color space. It's not a 4K dream color screen, and it won't win awards for color fidelity, but the touch capability can actually be useful when you're sketching concepts in software like Adobe Fresco or navigating long CAD drawings with a few taps. If you need a wider gamut for print-ready work, you'll probably want an external monitor, but for on-the-go revisions the built-in panel is perfectly adequate. One of the biggest hidden trade-offs in this class is battery life. The i9-11900H and the RTX A3000 together draw a respectable amount of power, and MSI's 99WH battery can only stretch to about 5 hours of light usage before you see a dip. Heavy rendering or running simulations will drop that number to roughly 2 hours. That isn't a surprise for a workstation of this caliber, but it's something to keep in mind if you expect to be unplugged all day. The laptop does have a decent fast charge feature, charging up to 50% in 30 minutes, so a short coffee break can get you back in the saddle, but you'll still plan to stay near a power outlet for marathon sessions. Memory and storage are where the WS66 really flexes. Out of the box you get 32 GB of DDR4 3200 MHz RAM, split into two 16 GB modules. That's more than enough to run several VMs, keep a Photoshop document open with massive layers, and still have headroom for a background render. The two-slot design also means you can upgrade to the maximum 64 GB later without having to replace the whole machine. The 1TB NVMe SSD feels generous for most professional pipelines. I could store several project archives, the OS, and the Adobe suite without any noticeable slowdown. The SSD's read/write speeds are on par with most high-end consumer drives, so loading large project files is quick. If you're a professional who relies on security, the Fingerprint sensor and TPM 2.0 chip give you hardware-based login and encryption options, which are often required in corporate environments. MSI backs the whole package with a 3-year on-site warranty, something you rarely see with consumer gaming laptops. That warranty can be a real peace-of-mind factor if you're buying for a small studio that can't afford a broken machine sitting on the desk for weeks. So who should actually consider spending on the WS66? First, design engineers, architects, and video editors who need a machine that won't throw errors when a GPU driver updates. If you're regularly running SolidWorks simulations, rendering VRAI scenes, or editing multi-camera 4K footage, the professional GPU and the massive RAM headroom will save you countless hours of frustration. The built-in fingerprint reader also makes it a good fit for businesses that need quick, secure logins across multiple workstations. Second, power users who travel frequently and can't lug a desktop around. Think consultants who need a reliable workstation in hotel rooms will appreciate the combination of raw performance and the fact that the laptop can be serviced on-site. Thanks.